Welcome back to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We're brought to you by Pelican, built tough for all situations. Go to pelican.com. Yak Gadget, for all your fine kayak fishing accessory needs. Go to yakgadget.com. Eastport Marina, on the beautiful shores of Dale Hollow Lake. For all your lodging, kayaking, and fishing needs, go to eastport.info. Now let's get this show started.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Reel Down. As promised, we got the show we were wanting last week, the Bassmaster Kayak Championship coverage. Got with us, for all you watching on YouTube, we got Mr. Eric Siddiqi here, who won one of those, I don't know if it's life-changing checks anymore, man. Stuff's just got so expensive lately. That's like 3 tanks of gas.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the way it feels.
Well, what's going on, man? How you been?
Oh, pretty good. Just busy lately, trying to
Yeah,
keep up with everything.
especially tonight, man. We're recording a few hours later than we expected. Eric hit me up and said that he was having trailer issues, man. So did you get that all straightened out?
Yeah, I got it all handled.
Heck yeah. Well, you're
It's not my first
coming at
time.
us. Oh yeah, most of us have we got it down to like a pit stop art. So you're down in Florida, right?
Yeah, down here for the Bassmaster on Harris Chain.
Heck yeah. Did you just get down there, or have you had some time to get fishing in yet?
Well, I started doing a little fishing today, and then I saw the thing was blown when I went to launch and everything, so mostly been dealing with that today.
I hear you.
But official practice doesn't start till tomorrow anyway, so I was really just going to fun fish on a different lake.
Oh yeah, I hear you. Well, let's get right into it, man. By now, everybody knows that the Bassmaster just had the kayak division championship out on Lake Russell. Went a lot better than a lot of us expected that don't really know the lake or know much about. Everybody knows Lake Hartwell and knows that Lake Hartwell can really show out. But first off, tell everybody a little bit about yourself real quick, and then you can jump right into what you did to get ready for it, because everybody had limited pre-fishing time and everything. So
Right.
take it away.
So I'm Eric Siddiqui. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I kayak fish. So when I saw we were on going to Russell, I didn't know anything about it. I've never even been to Hartwell. We weren't allowed to get on the water until that Sunday. Our tournament was Wednesday, Thursday. So I went down there. I got down Friday night. Saturday I went, and it was my first tournament of the year, so I went and fished Hartwell just to kind of test all my gear out, make sure everything was working right and all that stuff. And started pre-fishing Sunday. And actually, the only guy who launched from where I launched on Sunday was Ike and Ellie. And so I never saw him on the water, but I got out there and started running some of my stuff that I wanted to start on, and check out some stuff that I found in my map study.
Yeah,
And yeah,
not to cut you off, but give a little bit of an overview of the lake, because if you've never looked at it, it's a very intimidating lake. You talk about map study, we're talking about a lake that's got 10,000 points and little pockets, and but just give a rundown of kind of the layout of the lake too.
right. Yeah, it is kind of intimidating when you go look at it on a map, and I was like, oh man, where do I start? So I just went in and started marking areas that I wanted to look at, things that looked good to me, and a lot of times when I do that and I zoom out and look at the whole lake, I could pretty much tell where I want to start at, areas that I have more stuff marked and stuff like that. So that's kind of what happened with this tournament, and it was pretty obvious where I wanted to start at. It had the area that I picked had a lot of riprap, little ponds cut off from this long pocket, and so I wanted to look and see if there was any maybe underwater culverts. It didn't look like there was any out of the water that you could go through or anything like that, but I thought some of those areas might hold some fish, so started checking all that stuff and working my way down, found some good wood. There was a road bed running down the side of that pocket, and all the way in the back, when I got back there, I started marking some big fish. And I wasn't sure if they were bass at first, just because from what I knew about the lake,
Hmm.
I didn't really expect anything like I was seeing back there. They had a bunch of bait pushed back there, and I turned around and made a cast with a shaky head and caught a 22.5 inch largemouth. And I was like, all right. And then I cast back up there, caught one just under 21, and then I made another cast, hooked in another one. Well, another one ate it, and I just let him swim with it until he dropped it. And when he dropped it, I tried to reel it back in, and another one ate it. So I was
Jesus.
I knew I'd found a pretty special area right there.
That's you know, if I hook a 22 pre-fishing, I don't have that mentality. I'm like, shit, I needed that. And then you turn around and hooked another big one, and then another good one, and
Yeah,
that's just one of those like magical spots, man.
right.
So did you have to, before you got to that spot specifically in your pre-fishing, had you already covered a bunch of other water, or did you kind of just like one and done
First
it?
place I went and looked at. Yep.
Jeez, man,
Yeah,
that's
and that happens a lot. I mean, honestly, when I look at a lake and I pick an area, I picked that area for a reason. And a lot of
right.
times when tournament day rolls around, I end up in that first area that I went to look at. So,
Heck
but
yeah.
this was just the on my graph and everything was just blatantly obvious that this was a really special place. So
And on that topic, just because the graph arguments are kind of hot right now, what kind of electronic setups are you running?
I'm running a Lowrance HGS 9 Live, and I wasn't running any active target or anything.
Okay.
Um,
That's the real
yeah,
question there, of course, is
yeah,
the active
right,
target or not, or the
exactly.
panoptics or not. But some of you guys out there are still pretty awesome with their electronics. So I'm sure that do you think that you will eventually run the active target or live scope or anything like that?
I've got some active target on the way.
Yeah. It's like the one thing other than gas that check got you.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, so I know you were in a house with just because one of my good friends, Garrett, was kind of like a last minute jump into y'all's house. You were in a house with a bunch of good people. Did you try to kind of keep it to yourself, or I mean, obviously the people you roll with, you don't have to worry about them really creeping on your spot. But did you just try to keep the excitement down and kind of like just, no, I'm not on nothing too good, or did you go back to the house and like,
I
got this
really
one?
tried. No, I really tried, but I felt like I was gonna explode. I'm not good at. I just like to talk about fishing, and I love
Yeah.
fishing, and when I find something or figure something out, I like to talk about it. So I really tried not to, but
Oh, I
uh,
bet.
I'm not very good at that. And Guillermo told me after the tournament that he's like, "You said you were gonna win it." I was like, "Did I?" He was like, "Yeah, I remember," because I thought it was pretty ballsy with me there and Cody Milton and Drew Gregory and all these guys, and you're like, "I'm winning this thing." I was like, I don't even remember that. It was all kind of a blur for me after I found those fish. I was pretty excited.
It's so funny that, and you could ask Garrett this when he was, he called me and told me he was like last minute making that run down there and told me he was sharing a house with you guys. And I was like, man, he was like, man, there's just so many good people in this house. I was like, man, I'm dead serious. I was like, I think Siddiqi is the guy to watch for. I told him, and he can quote me on it. I said, he's due a big win, and I think this will be the one that he does it at. And then when I saw the way it ended, I texted him and was like, sorry, yours wasn't that good, but I told you.
Yeah, yeah, I did feel like that too. I felt like I was due for one. So
With that being your
uh,
first tournament of the year, I would almost like you're trying to do this professionally. I get it, but in like my mind, it's like, okay, I need to stop right here. It's like I've got this high. I don't need to know what the rest of the year holds if it just like
yeah,
straight down off the other end.
right.
But well, let's get into, so you kind of hit a. What did you do for your other few days? You just kind of go check on them, or
Yeah, every day I went out there and checked on them. One day I did go run around and check some other stuff I had marked in the area to see if maybe I could find another school of fish or something that might be worth going to. But I really didn't find anything that I felt like was going to be worth leaving those fish for. And the way the wind was blowing, the weather was just we were on a warming trend. Everything was holding up. I didn't think the fish would go anywhere, so I felt like I could just sit there for both days of the tournament, and that's really what happened. So.
well, with that being said, man, kind of just walk us into day one. How did you kind of take your time with it? Did you get on them real quick and then just kind of cover your spot for the rest of the day? How'd it go?
Yeah, so during practice, what I was getting them on was like a shaky head, chicken rig, Carolina rig, things like that. Um, and they really wouldn't touch it. When I got there in the morning of the first day, I couldn't get them to eat anything they were eating in practice. And then
Ugh,
I
I hate
had,
that feeling.
yeah, I mean, they were there, so I knew I mean, if I was gonna figure it out, but it was still a little frustrating at first.
Oh, I bet.
And then I had a bass bus kind of like back behind me, and I had a couple different swim baits tied on, and I grabbed a diesel minnow I had on the deck and flipped it back over there and hooked into like a 17.5 inch spot or something like that. And I was like, all right,
Nice.
so that was my first fish. And then I switched between that and a Kitech with a ball head, tungsten jig head, just back and forth, just trying to show them something different. And once I got my 5 really in that area the first day, I decided to kind of leave it alone. I've put too much pressure on fish before
Hmm.
and seen them ghost me, so I didn't want that to happen. So I decided to pull out and spend some time on the roadbed back behind me, and I really fished it with a Carolina rig, football jig, and wobblehead with a biffle bug, and I fished it for a couple hours. I mean, I know I like fishing roadbeds, and I knew
Yeah.
I could get a big bite on there if I just put the time in. And so I ended up getting my big fish the first day. It was a 19.5 inch largemouth on that roadbed.
Nice.
And so just kind
On
of
which one of the rig setups did you get it on?
on the wobblehead on the
Yeah.
biffle bug. So
Nice.
I ended up after that. I was kind of happy with where I was at, and I went up and made a few more casts, and caught a couple smaller ones, and just kind of decided to let it be, and just hung around the area, just making sure, just trying to keep people off a little bit.
Yeah. Make sure you have to
You
don't
know,
do any of that defensive fishing.
right, right,
Well, that's that it's always interesting to hear. A lot of anglers get on fish really good in pre-fishing, or they know they've got that potential winning pattern, but managing fish is always, it's a physical thing, but it's a mental thing. Knowing, when to stop, because there's just so much that goes into it. Everybody knows
right.
in a 2-day tournament, you know, one getting a limit is huge, but you need a competitive limit to build on the second day, because
Right.
it's not all the time that day two everybody just flops off the board.
It's been a hard lesson to learn, managing fish the right way, honestly, and it's a delicate balance between having the confidence in what kind of fish you have there and what you
Hmm.
can get them to eat, and not catching too many and all that stuff. So it's not easy.
What? So it was kind of obvious that you had fish in pre-fishing, and going into that day one. How did you know? Even if it may not be fact in your head, what told you that you knew you had the fish there? I mean, obviously they were, because we know you won, but was it just seeing them on the graph still hanging in the area, no changing conditions, or was there anything in particular?
Yeah, it was kind of all of it together. I mean, it just seemed like everything was working out together just perfectly. I
Just
mean, it
one
doesn't happen
magical
often
spot.
in a tournament. Yeah, and the weather, I mean, you never get 2 consistent days of weather in a row in a tournament, really.
No.
Something always changes, and then you got to turn around and figure something else out, or relocate your fish, or whatever it is. It's always seems like it's always something, but just the way it looked, I was like, I mean, I knew from seeing them on my graph. I mean, I've found some mega schools on Kentucky Lake and stuff like that before. So when I found that school, I knew what I was looking at. I've put enough time in with my electronics that I knew what I had when I saw it.
Yeah, it just takes catching those couple big ones right there to confirm that
Right.
it is what you hope it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was it. Just because I did it on purpose. I didn't look at a lot of the pictures of fish and stuff like that, just so that the conversations are real natural. Was it very like pre-spawn, kind of set up, or was it just they were just schooled in there for any particular reason, or what do you think was keeping that one area golden?
Yeah, I mean, they just had all this bait pushed back there, and it
Because
was
of the
holding them there.
wind.
Hmm. and I think they were kind of holding there because they're pretty close, I think, to getting to the spawn. So
Yeah.
I think they're ready to go. So they're all just kind of hanging around, getting ready to go.
Oh yeah. I mean,
But they
they
had
already got the
plenty of
work done if they got them all
yeah.
pushed back too. So,
Right.
well, let's see. I'm gonna go over real quick the way the day one ended out. John Mischling, I think is how you pronounce that, 97.5. He had a spectacular first day. Eric, you were right on his heels with 94. Greg Harper, 93.5. Drew Gregory was right there with 92.5, and Francis Tran with 92.25. And Casey Reed, I'll mention him just because he caught that 24.75 like monster fish.
That was
Uh,
giant.
yeah, I know that I was following the standings a little bit first day, and I want to say that he had like 3 fish and was still in the top 10 or something like that when folks were throwing him limits or something like that. I was showing it to my wife, like, you see how much a giant fish like changes it in our sport.
It does. It really does.
Yeah, it makes up for that one that you can't kick out, But
Right. Yeah.
how did you feel into day one, knowing some of the people, knowing who's ahead of you, knowing that Drew's back there, Casey's back there, people especially because you're in the house with the Drews. So did you keep that head held high, like, no, I got this, or were you thinking that it might be a dog fight, which it did turn out to be, just not with that same person?
Yeah, I actually hung
As it
out over
grew.
there in that house a fair bit, but I was actually in the Dakota Lithium house with
Oh, okay.
Derek Bostic and Russ Snyders and Adam Petrone.
Oh, okay,
So
I got you.
yeah, so we're in a different house, but I mean, all of us cashed a check, so we had a pretty good we had a pretty good tournament altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But so did you feel any of the pressure going into day two, or are you able to kind of
I
keep
did.
it?
So when I saw Drew Gregory right behind me, that had me a little worried because I know how that goes, and he can
Typically,
find
yeah.
them. Yeah, right. He seems to always find fish up, whatever river or creek he ends up going up or whatever. And me and him actually tied for first at Dardanelle last year at the Hobie, and he beat me on big fish.
Oh,
So
so this was a
that was a
a
tough one.
nice
So I was like, here we go
win.
again.
I love it.
So yeah.
Well, get right into day two. So, you know, uh, same kind of setup. Did you have trouble getting them to bite again? Did it take a different tactic? Going into basically this would be what, day 5 of the same fish, more
Right.
or less.
Yeah. Yeah. And day one, actually my 3 biggest fish were largemouth. I had a 19, 19 and a quarter, and 19 and a half. And it seemed like those bigger largemouth kind of pulled out, but big spots stuck around. So on the way out there in the morning, I was just saying to myself, fish clean, fish clean, fish clean. Because I
Right.
mean, just everything has to be right. I was careful with my leaders and checking them, and I was using some lighter hooks for my swim baits and stuff. So I had to, my drag had to be just right and everything.
Right.
And it's hard to watch those fish. It was pretty clear water, so it's hard to hook into them and watch them swim around and then tear that drag and everything when
Ugh.
it's potentially $20,000 fish right there swimming around in front of you. But
Ugh.
I fished well. I was able to hold it together. And so that second day I got up there, and I really was expecting the morning to be really good, and I really didn't. That first hour I was expecting to have some good fish, maybe even a limit, honestly.
Hmm.
And I didn't have anything, and they just weren't biting. But I was confident if I kept just throwing those swim baits, just keep alternating and keep my eyes open. I was going to be able to get them to bite, get the right ones to bite. And so I managed to catch a 20 and a quarter inch spot. And then I got the picture of that thing as quick as I could, even though they like to pop their mouths open. So
Oh yeah.
it's hard to get them on the board, get them calmed down, get that picture, and then get back in there. Because I know when I got them fired up, the way how hard it was to get a bite. Once I got them fired up, I know I could get another one if I could get the picture quick enough. So I got the picture of that one. I threw back up there and caught a 19 and 3/4 inch spot. And those were my 2 biggest fish
You just
of the
had a
day on day
mega
2.
skull of great of both species, which is
Yeah.
just big spots and big largemouth running around together in one
Mhm.
area.
Yeah, it was
Fantastic.
really cool.
When you hook into that big spot, you know, like you said, water's clear enough you can see it. That's got to be stressful just
Yeah,
because of spots are already stressful in my opinion. Like
right.
smallmouth, I don't know. I feel like I lose a lot more spots than smallmouth. I feel like if I
Mhm.
hook a smallie, I usually can get it, but spots, they're just the good fight, great jumping fish, but
They're mean.
they're mean, man.
They're mean. They're just
They're just crazy.
torpedoes. And I swear they fight harder pound for pound than anything else. And I love smallmouth. I've done pretty well up at St. Clair, and those fish are strong. But I don't know. There's something about those spots. Just they're just
Just
solid
different.
muscle. Yeah, they're different. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of unnerving when you know
Oh yeah.
if you
You know,
don't play it
seeing,
just right, that fish
you
is
know,
gone.
day two, this could, like you said, this could be that $20,000 fish I need.
Hmm.
This could be, you know, and in your case, just to you throw the numbers out there. I mean, your 2 day total was 188, and John's 2 day total was 187 and 3/4. So I mean, that
Hmm.
literally was one of those was that 200 or 200,000. Getting ahead of myself.
Right.
A few years from now, but
If I
that
had
twenty
lost
thousand
any
dollar
of those
fish,
fish, that would have been it.
yeah. So, but yeah, continue on. So you caught two real quick back to back. Did you finish your limit out kind of quick the same way while they were fired
Yeah,
up?
I was able to. I think I had a 15, and then I had a 17 and a quarter and a 17, something like that. It's hard to remember now, but I uh, I knew I had to get rid of that 15, so I
Hmm.
fished pretty hard trying to get rid of that 15, and my buddy Todd Patrick actually he showed up. He was flying the drone around watching me, and so he sat there and watched me while I was trying to get rid of that 15 there in that last hour. And I upgraded with a 16 and a half. And then after I got the picture of that fish, I caught the 17 3/4 that um, called the 16 and a half was my small. So that's what gave me my,
Gave you that quarter inch
yeah,
advantage.
that's
So
what
had
did
the
it. And I didn't know that Mickling had taken the lead on me until Todd's like, how big was that one? And I was like, that's 17 3/4. He's like, that you just took the lead back. And I was like, I didn't know I had lost the lead.
and then there's that whole other level of stress.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh gosh, I gotta upgrade again. And my smallest fish at that point I remember was 17 1/4. And I worked hard the rest of the time trying to call that thing. And I caught 10 fish over 15, which was Mickling's smallest fish. And I could not call my 17 1/4 though. So after that, they shut the board off with an hour to go. I felt pretty confident that he had beat me because of how many fish I caught,
Right.
there at the end that were over 15. So
So did I don't know if you can talk about it. So you know your fishing day ends, and then you have to wait, which sucks because
that
they
was, yeah, really tough.
do
Yeah,
y'all already know or do they keep it fresh and y'all don't know till you hit the stage?
I didn't
You
know.
know your top 10
Right.
because they tell you.
You're right. They had us come to a round table with Ike and Ellie, the top 10, and we're all talking. And it really wasn't until I heard, Mickling talking about how he got his fifth late, and it was so hard to catch his fifth one, and all this stuff, and he just made it sound like he only had five. So that's what got me thinking. Like if he only caught five, then I got
Yeah,
him. So
right. Because
that's
he
when
had
I
jumped
started
you and
getting
you
a little
jumped him
excited.
down.
Like maybe I might actually got this thing. But I was pretty stressed out when I got back to the house and everything, and having to wait till the next day to find out. Luckily, I had some buddies there. Me and Derek had a few beers, help me relax and
There
stuff,
you
and
go.
take my mind off of things.
So going into the stage stuff, this is something I've really wanted to talk to you about because you got to walk on the stage the first year.
Right.
What did you end up in on Logan Martin? What place did
I
you
was
get? Do you
fourth.
remember?
I was
Fourth.
fourth.
I
Yeah.
knew your top five. I couldn't remember if it was second
Hmm.
or. Uh, what was your comparison? Now, obviously, this one's better because you won it, but we're not talking about that. How did you feel going into this one? Like, how did Bassmaster do this time? You know, we know how it went and kind of lackluster the first year. little bit better last year. Kind of weird with the crowd. People saying they weren't, able to get in to watch. How did you think it went this time?
I felt like they did a good job, and they gave us a bunch of wristbands for friends and family to make sure everybody we wanted to get in could get in and all that type of stuff. So that was nice, and prepared us well before we went on stage and everything. Although I was still kind of freaking out because
Yeah.
I was just nervous pacing. And honestly, I felt like Bickling was the only guy that could have beat me, but I didn't know for sure what anybody else had. Maybe somebody had a giant day out of the top 10
One of those
was going to come up. You
sandbaggers.
just never know, really. Yeah.
Yeah. So, go over the feeling, finally getting confirmation that you've won, getting to hoist that trophy. Everybody that's doing this, I guarantee you can all agree, it's everybody's dream. We watched it as kids. We not even as kids. We watched it last year. We see Hank Cherry carry those big trophies, and
Mm-hmm.
Jason Christie. Like, what is it like? Well, how does that feel?
I've
Like
waited
as
a
good as
long
you
time.
thought?
Yeah, I've waited a long time for it. So it felt really good. I've dreamed about it for a long time, and not only Bassmaster since I was a kid, but since I started kayak fishing, dreaming about maybe getting a KBF championship. And since Hobie started their series, winning a TOC, when I started kayak fishing, my goal was to qualify for Worlds. And I remember I had felt like I had a chance one year at the Border City Classic. That was my second year fishing it, and I ended up second and top placing American, top placing Canadian went to Worlds. American was first, I was second in American, and the Canadian was third. So first and third actually went to Worlds. So I kind of got skipped over, and I felt like that was my chance, man.
Oh,
That was my chance. And then I qualified the next 2 years at that tournament. I won that tournament the next 2 years and qualified for Worlds.
awesome.
So you never know. I don't give up even when I'm close like that. That just tells you it, it's going to be close a lot of times, and just sometimes you're not going to be on the right side of that, and sometimes you are. So I was happy to be on the right side of this one.
Yeah.
I
No,
really really needed it. I wanted it really bad,
you
really bad.
definitely, like I said it, I just a second ago, I definitely feel like you were due a good one. You've always, as from me, the beginning of me getting into kayak fishing, there's the names that people always talk about that stand out, like Russ and Jody and Guillermo. But I've always known, heard your name when I first got into following tournament kayak fishing, and I did, man. I told Gary, I was like, nah, I don't know. I think Eric's just the guy to watch out for. I think this one's his. And then you turn around and do it, and I should have put some money on that. I
Yeah.
should have put some real money on that. But congrats, man. I can't imagine what it feels like to even, I've heard some people, boat guys that I was talking to, talk about, but like, well, it's not the same. Well, no, it's not, but it's our equivalent, so it's
Right.
big for us.
Exactly.
I don't like to get into the whole talk of what series is better and all that bull, because there's just that argument can go so long, so many ways. But Bassmaster's been around for so long, and like the fishing pinnacle is holding that trophy, and you've got to do it in our division, as they're putting it. That's fantastic, man. And like, where do
Thank
you
you.
go from now? Obviously you're down in Florida trying to continue on. Is it you're going to try to run for some AOY stuff this year? Or are you going to try to, make one specific trail series work? Or are you going to try to hit them all? What do you got planned?
Yeah, I'm planning on hitting everything I can. I'm gonna give. I like starting the year off in Florida because I mean it's a great place to fish, and
Oh
not
yeah.
only bass. I like to go do some saltwater, catch some redfish, and just have a good time and just enjoy fishing. Get back to that. So that's why I like. That's one of the big reasons I came to this tournament. Also, it gives me a. I have to fish every bass that's left to have a chance at AOY because I dropped the lowest score and I skipped fork to watch my Bengals go on their Super Bowl run. So
Yeah.
I can. I've been waiting about as long to see that as I have to hold that trophy up. So I couldn't help it. Uh, but I really like Bass's schedule the rest of the way. I don't have a lot of experience in Florida, but Florida's a fun place to fish. So, but their next few tournaments, I think it's Lewis Smith, Grand Lake and Pickwick. I really like all those lakes. So
I know Lewis
Grand
Smith
Lake was
just.
actually when I was really close to a $10,000 check when KBF had it open there,
Oh, really?
and I had some really good fish. And the first day, I just I wasn't expecting them to be biting a shaky head the way they were, and I just really wasn't. I had some not great shaky heads with me, and I ended up with only four, but I had four really good ones. And that last one, I ended up having to use a spinning reel because my bait caster messed up on
Ah,
my rod. So I started, and I had that fifth one break me off, and then I decided, and I stuck it out there where I was, and I felt like I could go up shallow and catch that last one, and I waited too long to do it, and I went
ah.
and I went out to catch it, and I actually was right in front of the ramp when I hooked into one, and I've got a couple minutes, and I'm fighting this thing. I get it in, and there was a couple guys at the ramp. They're like, yeah, because they knew I needed that last one. They're like, good job. I'm like, it's a drum.
That's the
It
biggest
was,
heartbreaking fish in freshwater
I know.
fisheries.
I thought I was gonna
100%.
get it. And then after that, I went to Bass Pro, and I got rigged up with everything I needed, and the second day was easy. So I still ended up eighth in that tournament with 9 fish. I had big bass both days, overall big bass, and but I just needed, I think it was a 15 or something, 15 and a
Ah,
quarter to to win the thing.
damn
So
drum.
yeah, right.
So, well, I
So
know Lewis Smith should. That lake just showed out. That's for anybody listening. I'm from Alabama. That's a little bit south of me. Big, typically clear lake, huge, like recreation destination, which gives it a lot of shoreline cover.
hmm
Lot of flooded timber in it too, though. But MLF was just there, I think, the same weekend as the Classic was, and I know they put a smacking on them. So hopefully that lake's about ready for a big turnaround.
that's a really
Um,
cool lake. I actually grew up fishing Pickwick Lake in the summers. My mom was from Corinth, Mississippi, so I'd go down there
okay.
and I get dropped off at Pickwick with my fishing gear and some barbecue, and that's kind of how I taught myself how to fish. My dad didn't fish or anything. I just always loved it since I was a kid, so it was just a bug I could never get rid of. So, she'd
And
always come pick me
Pickwick's a
up when it
great
got
lake
dark. It
too.
is. It is a
I
great lake.
live probably 45 minutes from the McFarland side of it, the
Okay.
at the Pickwick or Wilson
hmm
Dam,
Yeah.
and I did the Bassmaster there last year, and it was me talking about pre-fishing and how when I catch a good one, it upsets me. Is I hooked a 7 last day of pre-fishing, made one more cast. I actually caught like a 19-inch smallmouth, like 50 feet from that spot, and I was like, okay, this is great. And then it all went downhill. Some buddies that didn't know the event was going on, like early morning, fished the area. I rolled around the corner, and they were sitting in the spot, like, oh hey, what are you doing here? And I was like, nothing now.
Yeah.
But it's what I
That's
have that
that's
kind of
rough.
luck. Like I still grinded it
Yeah.
out. I think I caught like 3 that day, but it was like 99 degrees last year. It was freaking terrible. But they're doing it on the same weekend this year, so I
Okay.
think I'm gonna do that one just because I ain't got a camp or anything. I'm just make the drive, stay at the house, and chill.
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
feeling.
yeah, it's cool staying in the house, but with the day and age of money and how money doesn't go far anymore.
Yeah.
Like we canceled I had a huge schedule planned to just travel and fish this year, and like gas here is 409, and I know it's more if you go out west. It's just ridiculous, and
Yeah. I
I
think I
got my
saw
own business, and I'm over here like
389 on the way down here.
so
I mean
I
489, sorry. Yeah, that was it's
yeah,
hard to even believe.
it's like
Honestly.
I'm completely anti electric vehicles, but it's starting to make a little more sense for some reason.
Right. I'm
You
gonna
know,
start pulling my trailer with a Tesla.
yeah, I need to hit up Elon Musk on this Cybertruck thing. Be like, can you put a T-bone in it? I need a little bed storage for the yak.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. As far as Lewis Smith goes, though, I was leaving a tournament on Kuza, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and we had some really bad weather. So I was like, I just want to fish in some good weather. I'm gonna look up and see what area, close to here, maybe on the way back, has some of the best weather. And it was Pickwick. I was like, great, I'll go fish Pickwick right now. That'll give me build some confidence for the next tournament. I always do pretty well out there. So on the way there, I happened to see Lewis Smith on the map, and I was like, I've heard a lot about this lake and everything, and I've never actually fished it. So I'm gonna stop by and I'm gonna fish this lake instead. And I stopped there and fished it, and it's a beautiful lake. And
Oh yeah.
I think I got a 20-inch spot that day. I was I was like, wow, this place is awesome. It was just so I've stopped by there a couple more times since. So I'm pretty excited about that one too. I've always wanted to see a tournament there. We haven't had a kayak tournament there that I know of. So
Yeah, I've honestly only kayak fished it like twice. Both times was winter throwing A rigs. Just we were spots or giant stripe or whatever. That's just what we were there for, was to just catch something big on an A rig. But it's kind of like not my style of lake for how I like to fish. But I've had some local friends do really good there, doing that backwater creek fishing, kind of opened my eyes to it. So it's definitely a lake. I mean, it's at most, I think it's an hour from me. So it's definitely on my list to spend, especially with gas prices. Again, keep going back to that. I'm
yeah,
starting to like revisit the map of Alabama. Like, okay, what places have I not looked at this in this state? Because I can afford this state right now.
right, yeah.
But
I've spent a lot of time my first few years fishing, really stepping out of my comfort zone, getting away from things that I like to do or comfortable doing, and trying to learn to do, everything else. So
mhm.
that's one of the reasons why I'll stop at random lakes and especially that I've never really fished a lake like Lewis Smith, so that or caught any kind of spots like that. So
Yeah.
I think all that plays a part in building your confidence and getting to the point where you feel like you catch fish anywhere you go on any lake, whether it's spot, smallmouth, largemouth, all that stuff. So,
Well,
um,
when you come down for that one, remember me. Hit me up when you get down here. If it's like before fishing time, I will give you a couple places that you can go that are not Smith Lake, but they're like 5 minutes, 10 minutes from where you're going to be.
okay.
Which is the reason I don't fish Smith Lake. But they're big spot lakes. A lot of like Jordan and Matt Lee grew up on one of them, like little bitty, like 3 miles of water, not a lot of water to cover. Most of them have 25 horse boat limit, so you're not really worrying about a lot of the bass boat. There's no jet skis and stuff like that. But
I
if you
love
just want to
lakes
go
like
have
that.
some fun while you're down there, like if you get there before you can officially get on the water or something, just give me a holler. I'll send you a couple little pins that you can go check. As nobody's secret spots. I know all y'all that listen, shut up. I'm not giving away nobody's secrets. It's just it's a fun little place to go check out.
That sounds good. Yeah,
Heck yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. I know it was hectic that first week, so I kind of had a backup plan because I knew that. I mean, I probably wouldn't be able to look at my phone after doing something like that. I'd be on such this like high and bar hopping because that's how I roll.
yeah, yeah. That's what I did the next few days.
There you go.
A lot of my kayak fishing buddies took me out and everything, and we had a good time, really good time.
Heck yeah.
So
But and I appreciate again for you coming on, man. You're in the hotel room. You've had a long day, trying to fish, trailer breakdowns and stuff. Still had time to hop on with me for a few minutes. I do greatly appreciate that, and I know our listeners will too. I didn't want them thinking that I was just going to dodge one of the biggest wins in the year. It's
yeah, no problem.
I had to
Thanks for having
have
me
you on
on.
there to talk about that, man. But
Yeah, I appreciate it.
yeah, go ahead. We like to give everybody a chance before we close out to talk about all the companies that support or people that support and make it easier for you. Floor is yours.
Man, it's hard to remember them all. I'm gonna have to get a tattoo or something.
I remember the sharp. I'll
Honestly.
never forget because me and you worked one of the booths at the Classic on Logan Martin. I remember you showed me your hand where you tried to write them all down. And they were
Yeah,
like smeared.
yeah, I did. Yeah, I got hard to read when I was up there. Yeah, I tried. I don't know if everybody knows that, but
it was
like,
great.
um, I actually pulled my phone out this time. I don't know if you saw that.
No,
So
did
I
you?
had them on a
I
list.
didn't notice
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, Dakota Lithium, they're a huge sponsor of mine. They take care of me. I don't have to worry about power on the water anymore. We'll get one thing that goes with that is Yak Power. Their system is amazing. I remember when I used to have to rig, I rigged up everything myself when I started, and I never knew if the fish finder was going to turn on in the morning when I was going to get on the water, honestly. So it was nice not have to worry about that anymore. Fishing Online, I've been with for a long time. They really take care of me. They made sure I got a package right before that tournament. Actually, I was on the water and realized I needed some things and shot them a message, and they got them to me the next day. So
That's awesome.
that's a huge advantage. They're amazing company. CalCoast, I've been with them for a long time. Their battle boxes help me stay organized on the water. That's huge for tournament fishing, and I'm not great at being organized, especially with as much stuff that I carry. So that's a big help for me.
And the terminal is the one. If you can only have one thing organized, that has got to be the one thing for
Right.
sure.
Exactly. And Yak Attack. One thing I wanted to say on stage, they didn't give us a whole lot of time up there. They wanted to make sure we didn't stand up there and name 50 sponsors like I potentially could do. And I was pretty excited anyway. Yak Attack. They've been with me for a long time. Also, I've used the same landing net for 7 years, and I'm still using that landing net. So I was planning on saying that thing's landed more fish than the Gordon's Fisherman. So that thing's awesome. I've ran over it with my truck and everything, and I still use that same net.
Oh, that is a testament. That needs to be a test video I need to see. I'm gonna go grab one. I'm gonna run it over with my truck.
Right.
Like Eric told me this works.
It still works.
Heck yeah.
Lowrance, another one. I've always used their fish finders, and they work great. There's a lot of good things about a lot of different fish finders, but once you learn how to use any one of them the right way, you're going to be successful.
100%.
And I'm really looking forward to that active target too.
Oh, I bet.
I'm really looking forward to that. So, catch boards, they're a good sponsor of mine, and I really think they brought some more legitimacy to our sport. With the consistency of those boards and everything, and you don't have to worry about people cutting or bending boards or anything like that anymore. So which is nice to feel confident that when you lose, you lost.
Yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Right. Yeah. You can't complain too much. So
you got that new well, you said, just because you said catch, you have that new catch cart?
No, I don't. No, not yet. I've got so many sponsors I've been trying to contact, and I'm working with getting things out to me. In the off season, I kind of slack off, and I spend a lot of time with my boys and stuff, and don't really do a whole lot like I should, just because I'm trying to focus on them, because I know, how much I'm going to be gone during the tournament season doing this. So it gets tough, but that's why I try to focus on them completely when I'm at home during the winter and that off season. But it leaves me with a lot to catch up on once this tournament season starts again. So
no downtime.
But yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think I've got a few more. Buck and Bass is a new one. I think they got a really great rain suit. If you had seen this rain we had out here today on the way back, I actually just posted a video. It was rough, so I'm going to be able to test that stuff out really well. But I think that stuff could become the new standard for kayak fishermen, because I've had trouble with rain gear before, and nothing's worse than having a wet underwear when you're trying to fish a tournament and your ass is all itchy and all that stuff. So
I was always a big Frog Tog believer, because I'd had a set of Frog Togs that had just done me great, real set. And that Logan Martin tournament, that Bassmaster, that first year, that rain and all that weather we had, as the first time I'd ever had a suit fail. And I've never been that cold, and I don't get cold easily. Like, I'm the guy you'll see out there fishing in short sleeves when everybody else has got on all their winter gear. And that, like, I learned a new discomfort that I didn't even know existed. So
Right.
I immediately was like, okay, I understand why some of these suits are like $1,000 now. Which, I mean, the one I had was, I think, $600, and it still failed. Like, I'm not trying to kick them while they're down or nothing, but it's just Frog Talks. It just isn't what it used to be, you know? And it severely pissed me off. But
some good rain gear is definitely key when it comes to being comfortable when you're out there on the water.
You got to, man. It'll mess your mental game
and if
up
you
so
don't bring
fast.
rain gear, it's gonna rain on you.
100%.
That's just
I
the way
don't
it
care
goes.
if when I leave the house it's bluebird skies, 0% chance of participation. I will at minimum throw the jacket in my hatch just because I know if I don't, it'll flood. We'll get a
Right.
hurricane, snowstorm, something.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Z-Man's another one. They're another big sponsor of mine. They have this new bait out. It's called the Jackhammer. I don't know if anybody's heard of it, but that thing catches
Never.
fish.
Mm.
Uh,
I need someone to do a spreadsheet. I'd like to know how many dollars that bait's made. And for all the arguers that are, it's not worth the money, blah blah. Like it obviously is. I mean, yes, there are some competitive baits out there and stuff. Like people like the Thunder Cricket, and Picasso makes a really good one. But there's just something about that jackhammer that's just. I think I found one that I like almost as much as that the cross eyes that they came out with. I don't know. It's just like, to me, it's got a lot of the same everything, and I can just take it through heavier gear or heavier crap with that weed
mhm.
guard. I know they've got that new big blade one that's out too. I haven't tried that one. I've heard some good stuff about that, but Z-Man is the standard for chatterbaits. Period.
Right, and that material they use, that elastic is really just cool. I mean, you do stuff with that stuff that you can't do with other soft plastics. So, and I don't do a whole lot of punching because I just haven't got to fish a lot of lakes that uh, get a lot of practice with it. But when I come to Florida, I always try to do it. I'm looking forward to doing a little punching with that the goat, Billy Goat.
Yeah,
Those two, I think those could be pretty cool. Trying on a punch rig.
I keep telling Drew when me and him get to talking, 'cause, he's another one of those big Z-Man guys.
Hmm.
Uh, I really want to make the switch, but it's like you've got those baits, you've got your confidence in, and it's like, I just don't know if I'm ready to spend all that money to make this switch. Because I mean, like I trust, people like you and him that say they work, and then Elastec just makes sense. I mean, making one bait last all day versus a pack
Hmm.
lasting 5 bites, whether you landed that bite or not. I mean, or things like the Yamamoto Senko, arguably one of the best stick baits that's ever been created. I have cast that thing off so many times, like where you're like, oh, dollar,
Yep.
dollar.
Right.
Love the bait, catches fish.
Right.
It's fantastic, but
Yeah, I spent a lot of money on on some baits on a stop on the way down here at the Dugout Bait and Tackle.
yeah,
Uh, they took care of me too. I had some issues with how my Torpedo was rigged up, and they fixed all that for me. So big shout out to them for that. That was awesome. They didn't have to do that, and so it's always nice when people take the time to help you like
oh yeah,
that.
and dugouts
But I
key,
spent a lot
man.
of money there on some baits that I felt like I needed, and then I was just thinking, you know what? I spent all this money on baits, and this tournament's probably going to be one with a Senko. These post-spawn Florida fish probably won't eat anything else right now. Who
Yeah,
knows? But
you start
yeah, I mean,
looking
I
for
won
those
my
like
first
Josh
tournament with
Stewart.
as far as Z-Man goes, I won my first tournament with Ned Rig at La Crosse, Wisconsin. So, I mean,
Oh, Ned
that's
rig.
it's always been a big part of my arsenal is Z-Man baits.
That's the Ned rig is something I have not picked up as much as I should, which is kind of stupid because it's just a proven bait. But I don't know. I just get so frustrated with it because I throw in such heavy cover areas that I lost a lot of freaking Ned rigs, man. But
Yeah,
it's a killer bait. But yeah,
yeah,
no, dugout's a great place. Jamie Koza, Steve-O, and those guys, they do a great job taking care of pretty much the entire kayak community if they need anything.
yeah,
Uh,
they do.
Huge shout out to them. They
Hmm.
sponsored the show a little while back. Maybe not. A little feeler. We may have them sponsoring us next year too. Uh, but yeah, big shout out to them. And again, man, congrats, dude. It's got to be killer.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
hope you get to
it's
carry that momentum down there in Florida too. I know the Harris chain. I have a buddy that's got a lot of history with Harris chain this time of year because we were gonna make that event, and I got too much work right now, so I kind of skipped over this one. But I think that it's gonna be fantastic.
yeah,
But you made the Cinco comment. You need to look up if Josh Stewart's in there.
yeah. I did.
You-
I was looking. I know. I don't think there's anybody better with a Cinco than
Period.
Josh Stewart. Yeah, That's for
I feel
sure.
like that they need to just like either rename it or he should have his own like signature color or something, because him and the Yamamoto crew should be on a first name basis at
I
this
agree with
point.
that for sure. For sure. I've seen him whoop a lot of people's butts with that thing.
He whipped us on Logan Martin, or I say whipped us. I was fishing. I finished my day in the area he was, and I was close enough to him at one point that I was realizing I was doing the exact same thing, the exact same he was, and he was catching fish and I wasn't, and I don't
It's
get it.
funny
But
how that happens sometimes.
and I was talking to somebody and they were like, "Wait, Josh Stewart?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "No, I don't feel bad." Like it's just that's his thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I try to fish mine sometimes the way I've seen him fish it. He's when I've been around him fishing, he fishes it. I don't know. I don't know. He's so good with that thing. It's crazy to think that one person fishing a Senko can outfish another person fishing a Senko, but somehow he does it.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Mm,
All right, dude. We've been on here about an hour. I already feel bad for keeping you this long, but one more time, I do appreciate it, and congratulations for everybody that's been following along, whether on the YouTube or any of the podcast stuff. Be sure to give my man a follow. Give Paddle and Fin a follow. If you're watching it on YouTube, his Instagram stuff is scrolling across the bottom. And I'm sure we're gonna have you on again this year, man. We're gonna keep an eye on you. I'd like to see you take that momentum and just have like a year where you're just on a tear. So good luck.
sounds good. Yeah. I felt like I was pretty close to just like this close a few times of having a big year, and yeah, I think this year might be my year. I'm feeling pretty confident coming out of my first tournament. So hopefully I
And I
can
mean, and
keep it
like
going.
you talking about being that close, it's like you always think back to that and be like, damn, I was so close. But then you win this one, and this one's way bigger than those were. So it's like, nah, it's cool. This was for a
Yeah,
reason. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not things aren't getting any easier. There's some really good fishermen out there that you have to
yeah.
deal with. You know, dealing with Cody Milton and Russ Snyders and Drew Gregory and Josh Stewart and Matt Scotch and all those guys are just. I mean,
Oh,
they could win.
and Guillermo, man,
Yeah, Guillermo.
you
Yeah,
see the
I
momentum
mean,
that man carried at the end of the season. That's where a lot of people's, put their money at the beginning of this
hmm
year.
yep. And Christine, she's always
Oh
good.
yeah,
She's always
can't
tough to
count her
beat.
out.
Yeah,
And one more thing I'll say before we go is that it's a testament to the day you had, and with you name dropping right now, a lot of those good anglers had a terrible second day. So you saw, like, I saw the
yeah, they
leaderboard
did.
just like spread out, completely different than a lot of people had expected with what they saw on day one. So, again, good job, brother. You stood on top of the world for that event. So hell
Thank you,
yeah,
man. I
man.
appreciate it.
Yeah, dude.
Thanks for having me
Well,
on, man.
no problem, man. We'll see you next time.
All right.
All right, later. All right, another great show. I appreciate everybody sticking with me this long. We're going to run over a few tournaments that we had go on last weekend. We will start with the River Valley Kayak Anglers event number 1 on 10 Killer Lake. They had 31 anglers show up to that event. 5 fish limit. Justin Brewer, solid bag for the win, 82 and a quarter. Chris Nemeth, second place, 80 and 3/4. Third place, Mr. Dwayne Beatty was 72 and a quarter. Moving up from that, we had the SoCal Kayak Anglers. Were on Otay Lake. All right, I like it. It was their membership drive on March 12th. They had 73 anglers, 5 fish limit. Chris Harris, first place with 87 and a quarter. Second place, Eli Landigan with 80 and a half. Third place, Jonathan DeMonet with 80. And the last event that we had last week was the KAA Central Arizona qualifier on Roosevelt Lake. They had 35 anglers show up, and that one was I don't want to say it was too terribly tough, but when you look at the numbers, we had a pretty big drop off. First place was Dalen Harden with 83, Charles Booth 74 and 3/4 for second, and Jonathan Barrett with 72. And then you started really, no more limits after fifth place. It just dropped off to a bunch of small fish and a lot of struggling. So shout out to those guys who stuck with it and, made it happen. And, for those that actually, even catching a fish, I mean, when the tournament's tough, that means a lot. So appreciate everybody again, as always. Like, follow, share it up. Be sure to check out all of our other shows with all our other great hosts. We got a show for you every week, and we got 2 shows on some days, live shows on some days. Again, be sure to check out the event we're doing on Del Hollow coming up the first weekend in April. I think it's the 1st and 2nd. I can't remember off the top of my head. I wish I had that graphic right here. I need to save it. But, great supporter of the channel for a long time, always taking care of us and all of our people. Be sure to come down there if you're going to be in the area. We'll be on Del Hollow Lake right there, just a little south of Kentucky in North Tennessee. Partnered event with the Central Tennessee Kayak Anglers and the Cumberland Kayak Trail. Don't have to be a part of that. There's no membership fees. 2-day tournament. Come on out. Come hang out with us. Come eat some good food at the new revamped restaurant at the marina there with Eastport, and catch a few smallmouth. You never know. You may catch a world record. They still hold that. So thanks again, everybody. Trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Probably won't be here next week. Dan's gonna continue to cover for me for a couple more weeks, but me and him are gonna possibly join forces again, and try and take the reel down to another level. So stick around and find out. But I appreciate it. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another killer episode here on Paddle and Fin. Be sure to drop a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, or smash that subscribe button on any platform you're listening in on. Be sure to check us out on Waypoint TV, waypointtv.com. Make sure you sign up for the Fantasy Kayak Fishing League at paddleandfin.com/fantasy. You could support this show through Patreon, patreon.com/paddleandfin. Don't forget to check out the website, paddleandfin.com. Catch us on YouTube. If you got a question, comment, or want to see a future guest on the show, be sure to email us at paddleandfin@gmail.com. Shout out to our show supporters, Yak Gadget. You can check out all the fine kayak accessories at yakgadget.com. Pelican Professional. For all your cases, coolers, and lighting needs, go to pelican.com. Rocktown Adventures, your Midwest premier paddle sports destination. Go to rocktownadventures.com. Eastport Marina, the beautiful destination on Dale Hollow Lake. If you're looking for lodging, kayaks, kayak accessories, or anything fishing related on the beautiful Dale Hollow Lake, go to eastport.info. And Jigmasters Jigs. When in doubt, get the jig out. Go to jigmasters.com and fill your tackle boxes today.